We begin with Channel 2's Erica Brecher. Our girl, Erica Brecher, has been braving the elements.
We're going to begin with Erica Brecher, who is live in Delaware Park.
We're talking about these frigid temperatures and yesterday's wind bringing up all that water on the lakeshore. This is the picture that's been going around on Facebook and Twitter this morning. This bench just encased in ice right now. Once you get past a certain point in Buffalo, that's when the city really becomes a wasteland. Anywhere that there's just a little bit of shelter from the storm is where we're seeing abandoned cars like these. People are either parking just to get out of the snow for a little bit or just leaving their cars here entirely. This level of wind has been a sustained event over the course of 2 days, has certainly caused its host of problems. One thing we've been talking about with our meteorologists is the fact that hauling the snow away is the only way to get it out of Buffalo. It's not going to melt unless the temperature goes above freezing. We're looking ahead now to the outpouring of community support that we've seen since this tragedy occurred on Saturday. While we continue to look into the driver, we're also looking into what happened with the 198 itself. It was the parkway that Frederick Law Olmsted intended it to be until the 1950s. Only just now, hours and hours later, is it finally quiet here on Broadway. Just a little while ago, Buffalo police finally left the pawn shop, taking merchandise out of the windows. Already this morning, we see these Buffalo police queue lines are in place. Not something you typically see on a Sabres game day. A lot to still happen here this morning and figure out really what went down to cause such a massive overnight fire. What I want to show you is just how much runoff is running into the creek right now. Across from where I am, there is just a surging amount of water coming in. Tremendous excitement here from the media staging area with some VIP viewers behind us. It's been a great morning. Albeit cold, we have a beautiful sunrise off to the east, and everything is getting ready to bring down the Millard Fillmore Gates Hospital behind us. We are going to pick up where we left off because I just can't get enough of the food, but also we were getting to the really good part. We were going to talk about beer because I could use this for Halloween for years to come.
Fantastic.
Like a full stormtrooper uniform, just in like a nice warm winter hoodie.
I really liked having the choice of wearing short sleeves today and it being 60+ degrees. I don't think too many people here are complaining.
It was nice, and you know, our neighbors love to wear their shorts for as long as possible, so this week certainly afforded them that opportunity. But on the lighter side of things, it's hard to deny that this is, in fact, one of the lasting impacts of that November snowstorm. We've also heard that Suburban may be requiring some overtime. We'll have to confirm that tomorrow, so it'll be interesting to see just how many babies are born in the coming weeks.
People are still laboring. We'll leave it there. All right.
And I'm watching how Washington, D.C. is kind of getting the light coating of what we're seeing here in Hamburg right now. Meanwhile, they're reporting school closings. Not happening here. I think that all 110 pounds and 5 feet of me has thicker skin than all of D.C. What do you guys think?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, speaking of dressed up, not dressed down day here at Channel 2, dress up day. Erica representing Darth Vader right now.
You know, you got to get into the spirit of these things. So if this is such a big deal in pop culture, you got to get on board. Definitely a little bit icy out here from all of the melting that happened last week. But overall, everybody agrees as snow continues to fall, conditions are rapidly improving. The two most important things are knowing your own limitations when you take the trail and staying on the clearly marked path in order to be able to enjoy this one-of-a-kind site safely. Good Saturday morning, everyone. I'm Erica Brecher in for Heather Lee this morning. Thanks for joining us on Daybreak. It's Sunday, August 16th. So let's get to it. Is the rain going to put a damper on these plans or any others, Kevin? Looking at a nice weekend. We were talking about good times to run, maybe some sunscreen for somebody like me.
Yeah, last weekend I was saying, listen, we're going to go.
Thinking of this morning, it was the kind of weather where I had to let my windows defog first.
Yes.
So I didn't crash into the other cars in my parking lot.
Well, thank you for doing that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome for all the other cars in my parking lot,
Another good tip out there.
Well, we're following some breaking news this morning on midday out of Niagara Falls. The Pentagon says U.S. Special Forces have killed ISIS's second in command. Haji Iman had a $7 million price tag on his head. Now, the last time that New York's primary actually meant something in the nominating process for the Democrats, it was in 2008 when Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama were still battling it out. An airliner with 54 people aboard lost contact with air traffic control over the remote province of Papua in Indonesia. We are 4 minutes from the start of the Komen race. This is the Channel 2 team shirt. You might have seen Kelly and Melissa wearing it.
That is cool.
Not sure it'll fit you, Kevin.
No, it will not.
Get one in your size. So as we approach start time and then Allentown Festival, other outdoor things, what can you recap for us?
Buffalo and the suburbs are likely, have the best chance of staying dry today.
But the event honors all veterans and also collects thousands of pounds of food for local veterans and their families, right?
Yes, 5,000 pounds of food we raised the first year.
Tony just looks so sweet, and I think my dad is actually watching our live stream right now, and if he's seeing what I see, it looks just like our family cat Scoop. So Katie and Kevin, thank you so much. We will always post the video of our pets featured on the show online, so you can find the links to the Buffalo Animal Shelter.
A great 40-yard dash time as well.
Well.
An exciting prospect. Keep your eye on Erica Brecher, our first-round draft pick.
All right, don't hold me to that.
And Rookie of the Year 2015 in my eyes.
But if you wanted to go out for a 40-meter dash, we have a good weekend to do that.
Aha, there you go. Excellent with transitions. I got to write that down, too.
And Erica, back to you.
Melissa, thanks so much, and thanks to Liz for joining us live. You can really just feel the emotion looking at that scene, knowing we're just 20 minutes from kickoff of that race. Still ahead this morning, Kevin is back with another look at your weekend forecast. As we go to break, here's another live look outside. Gorgeous day on the marina and Lake Erie. Going to be a hot one, though. We'll be right back. The Sabres open the season 16 days from now, and if last night is any indication, it can't come soon enough for Sabres fans who could use some good news. Jack Eichel sure looked like the real deal on the ice in Minnesota. Take a look at the highlights from the preseason opener. A 6-spin move along the boards here in the first. Then in the third, down 2-1, he sets Matt Molson up for the game-tying goal, and a few minutes later, get used to seeing this. Eichel gets the puck shorthanded and blows it past the goalie for the game-winning goal. The Sabres are back on the ice for 2 training camp sessions today, and they'll host Ottawa tomorrow night. Overall, sounds great for your Easter weekend. Thanks so much for watching Daybreak. We'll be back at 9. I'm going to look forward to that because the second I walk outside today, my hair is going to go.
It's a bad hair day today.
Thanks for watching Daybreak. We hope you have a great weekend.
The New York State Thruway Authority plans on changing the exchange rate for Canadian money used at tolls throughout the Thruway.
And that's important because, as we reported at 5 o'clock, the rate they have been using for a while means they're losing money on most tolls paid with Canadian currency. 2 on your side's Erica Brecher explains what's going on and how the cash-strapped authority responded when she pointed it out to them.
Earlier this week, we noticed the Thruway currency exchange rate is different from the market. The American-Canadian exchange rate is about 30%, where 1 Canadian dollar equals 70 American cents. But at the Thruway, the exchange is 20%, or 80 American cents.
Thanks. You too.
That's a great deal for anyone with Canadian currency, because ever since the Canadian dollar dipped below 80 American cents in 2014, the Thruway Authority has been losing money on every Canadian dollar that goes through tolls.
So on every dollar of Canadian, we lose 20 cents here.
On Thursday and Friday, we drove through toll booths to confirm the math. We blurred out the attendants' faces because we didn't have explicit permission to record them. When I called the Thruway Authority and asked why its exchange rate hasn't changed to meet the market, they told me they watch the market but can only change their rate periodically. After 2 days of questions from me, they responded saying they're now preparing to roll out a change. They said, based on recent changes in the value of the Canadian dollar, we are moving ahead to implement an adjustment to the discount rate. This increase will better reflect the current market conditions and allow for a fair exchange in areas closer to the Canadian border. That's a big deal because until then,
So it's only $4, okay?
Okay, the Thruway Authority will continue to lose money as it has for about a year and a half.
In Canada, it's 30%. If you change an American dollar in Canada, you only get 69 cents.
We couldn't quantify an exact dollar amount, but you can imagine it's significant in an area with a lot of traffic and a lot of people with Canadian cash. You can do the exchange, right?
Yeah, it's only worth $4.
That's okay, thank you. There's more. Not only does the Thruway lose money, but a clever commuter could actually make money so long as the Thruway maintains a 20% exchange rate. We paid our 15-cent toll with a Canadian $5. The Thruway said it was worth 4 American dollars. Subtract the toll and we're left with $3.85 American. Now do the conversion back to Canadian and we get $5.50 Canadian, 50 cents more than we started with. So the Thruway rate has sat at 20% for a year and a half, again losing money for a year and a half. I asked this week why it's so different from the market, and now suddenly we're told they'll be rolling out a change. As a reminder, this is an agency Channel 2 has done several reports on regarding financial problems.
All right, so, unbelievable. So, Erica, what does this mean for Canadian drivers who try to break bigger bills?
Well, technically, it seems that the Thruway can't refuse them. The toll booth attendants will ask for a smaller bill so that the loss isn't as great. But technically, it can be done, and that's why a clever commuter, like you saw at the end of my report, could end up making money.
They're in the business of tolls and money in exchange, and they're not on top of this is disappointing, at least.
It is, especially for such a cash-strapped agency, so it's interesting to see that after 2 days of this back and forth, they said that change is coming.
You can clearly see the line of demarcation. You have, the north towns of Buffalo clear, and the south towns are getting hammered right now. And our Erica Brecher has the story of the tale of two cities.
A tale of two cities. Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown first used the Charles Dickens phrase to describe what the weather was like in Buffalo early this morning. Once the sun came up, a literal wall of snow and clouds could be seen to the south while the sun shined to the north. That snow band, which didn't move very much, is why some towns saw this and others saw this. In West Seneca, it's hard to believe just a mile or so north of the town was calm.
It's just crazy. I'm 46 years old. I've never seen this much snow and no plan at all, with cars just stuck everywhere. You can't go 100 yards any direction.
Peter Burton was just visiting Niagara Falls from Erie, Pennsylvania. He said the trip was fine until he started heading home this morning and the 190 was closed. He took back roads until he ended up under this bridge in West Seneca, stuck with a number of other cars. Once you get past a certain point in Buffalo, that's when the city really becomes a wasteland. Anywhere that there's just a little bit of shelter from the storm is where we're seeing abandoned cars like these. People are either parking just to get out of the snow for a little bit or just leaving their cars here entirely. Other drivers weren't so lucky. Many got stuck in the thick of it, unable to move out of intersections like Clinton and Harlem. Meanwhile, back north,
the streets are plowed. It's nice.
Parts of downtown and Buffalo looked like any regular late November day. The roads are clear and people went about their days normally, but the sky not far off is a reminder of how closely this storm still looms.
Blue sky with little white puffy clouds. You look over there, it's like, wow. It tells you something.
Erica Brecher, Channel 2 News. And you can bet, since its ribbon was cut in 1959, that there have long been safety concerns. In fact, the Expressway's safety hazards stick out like a sore thumb, so much so that local urban planning classes have studied it in terms of what not to do. I'll let that planning professional and history tell the rest. Frederick Law Olmsted intended the Scajaquada to be a parkway.
Horse and buggy, automobile, pedestrian.
Until the 1950s, it was. These images, provided by the Buffalo History Museum Library, show its construction throughout that decade. It officially opened with a ribbon cutting in December 1959. Fast forward 50 years later, Alex Bitterman finds himself teaching his college students about the 198 as an example of what not to do.
We talked about safety, and we talked about speed of moving vehicles adjacent to the park. And that was something that really over a decade ago we were looking at.
Bitterman has used it as a case study throughout colleges and classes since 2004. He says it's not so much bad city planning as it is bad circumstances. He'd like to see the walkway elevated to a higher grade, and he questions why wooden barriers, like the ones at the Delaware Avenue exit, were never put anywhere else.
In an area that is so unbelievably and densely populated and heavily used as Delaware Park, it's really critical that we get this right and that we do it soon.
Meanwhile, around the same time Bitterman was an assistant research professor focusing in on this, the DOT itself released a publication in 2007 about safety and environmental impact of the Expressway. It explored bringing the Expressway back to a parkway and suggested a construction timeline. If the Department of Transportation had followed through with the plan it developed then, construction to make the Scajaquada a parkway once again would have begun last year.
I think the reason why we're seeing such quick change is because both the state and the city, and likely Olmsted, realize that they bear the greater portion of liability for this accident.
Which brings us to today. One boy is dead, a family is in mourning, and a devastated community is questioning how it came to this. A call into the Department of Transportation was not returned by our airtime today. I was looking for an updated statement since Saturday's crash, but also to find out if the results of that 2007 study had ever been published. We'll keep you posted on air and online at WGRZ.com. For Dave McKinley, we're live at Delaware Park. Erica Brecher, Channel 2 News.
Peregrine falcons used to be extinct east of the Mississippi. But after a lot of time and hard work, the DEC was able to reintroduce them to the Northeast. 2016 marks 20 years since the falcons first started nesting again in Buffalo.
In 1997, we put up a box on the Statler building, and we've had nesting pairs here at this location ever since.
Ken Baginski helped band 2 3-week-old peregrine falcons. Using a special tool to measure their size, the DEC and wildlife rehabilitators determined these two are females.
This leg right here is definitely slightly larger.
The bands contain a number and a color which help birdwatchers and wildlife agencies keep tabs on them.
We are able to identify how old that falcon is, and we can monitor where they're traveling and where they end up.
These peregrines are the newest of 64 falcons who all originated from Statler City. Now that they're banded, they'll be returned to their nest on the 18th floor to hopefully live long, full lives. Peregrines are still endangered in New York State, but days like these are ones to celebrate.
The numbers keep increasing, and it's just a really great sign.
So Statler City likes to name all of the peregrines that originate from its building. Connor Hawkins of Statler named one of them Darcy. He's a fan of Irish names, and he named the other one Erica after me as a thanks to WGRZ for its coverage of the peregrines the past year. A bit of an emotional moment for me, but a very exciting moment for the rest of Western New York as we all celebrate the rebounding population, contributing to all of the diverse species we have here in the Buffalo area. Reporting on the rooftop tonight, Erica Brecher, Channel 2 News.